let's get into knives, because when you're cooking you want a sharp knife, and I'm going to describe to you the knives that I have in my three-part collection. I started with a French knife called Opinel. Well, first of all, the reason why I have good knives is because I grew up and we had stainless steel knives that were constantly dull, and we had a sharpener that was one of those tubular type, and it never really got sharp at all. So it was quite frustrating when I would visit my parents to do some cooking. So what I did is I found this Opinel knife. It's called an Opinel, made in France, with a carbon steel blade on it. And to my surprise, this had an incredible edge. In other words, you could sharpen it and it would hold the edge for a very long time and be able to cut through just about anything. And the size and the form factor was perfect for small cooking. Essentially, what I found out over time was that you don't really need a large knife unless you're moving lots of material and you're cutting 10 chickens up in a day, stuff like that. And that's why these larger knives here are used by professional chefs. They even use a larger one than this. This is only 8 inches here, but they use a 10-inch knife as standard. So it started out with this Opinel, and I've had it for many years. The incredible thing is just the versatility of this, with a very strong handle here, oak handle, and carbon blade, steel carbon. And you can see that these are rusting here. They do have a patina on them, and so you do have to take care of them a bit differently than a stainless knife. You never leave it in the dishwater for a long period of time. So this Opinel knife is a number 9. So number 9 is about 3 1/4 inches in length. 3 1/4 inches in length, the Opinel. So after some time, there was a discussion about the best knife. I think it was on Wired.com, and this is the Korin knife, which is again the same material, which is carbon steel. But in this case, it was obviously a little bit higher quality. It's a real chef type knife here. And this is called, let's see what this one is called. This is the Korin Suisin High Carbon Steel. Suisin. If you go on their website, you can actually purchase this. It's a Western style knife. It has a tang that goes throughout. The blade actually extends throughout the handle. That's a tang. It has a welded bolster here, which is this block of metal right at the end of the fingers here. And then it doesn't have, the blade just extends right down. So some people do cut themselves here, but the professional chef like to use this part of the knife as well. Rivets, and this is 8 inches. It's an 8-inch knife. The 8-inch knife, actually found that this knife is the most useful because of the amount of cooking I do with just home cooking. And I also got this paring knife, and we'll talk about that later. So this is the Korin Suisin high carbon steel knife. With this purchase, this is $97. That's Canadian dollars. It's pretty cheap. $97 plus. You do need to get a sharpener for that Japanese knife. And here's the sharpener. It is a stone sharpener, and there's two types of stone. there's a stone sharpener, and it has 4,000 and 1,000 grit. There is 1,000 grit on the top and 4,000 grit on the back. I tend to use the 4,000 grit and not the 1,000 because I don't actually sharpen very often, because I don't actually use this knife very much. This is what I use all the time. So this is $50. You need to buy a sharpener if you want to get in the game. And everything is from the Japanese store called Korin knives. So with this second knife, I decided to get a third knife, which is called the Shun. A Shun knife is sort of one of the top quality Japanese production knives. I suppose if you're a knife aficionado, you probably consider these more consumer level knives. But for me and for most people, this is in the top range. It certainly is for me. And what I did is I was so attracted to the carbon steel that I got this 5.5 inch knife Korin with blue carbon steel. And you can see what they did is laminate stainless steel with carbon steel in the middle. And that was because I always was definitely going to be a carbon steel knife person, just because of the sharpening ability. This one is a VG0016 carbon steel blue petty 5.5 inch. So that's a blue petty 5.5 inch. I don't think they actually make these anymore. They generally do stainless steel knives. The Shun knives are stainless steel. So this one was unique, and it has a wooden handle. This is a composite wooden handle, and this is also composite. This actually might be more of epoxy type of handle, but they're very strong and durable handles for both of these. What does this provide? So again, if I'm taking a chicken apart, I'll use this knife, and it's also very good for cutting bread, which is quite surprising. It's like a bread cutter. This petty knife has a very long handle, and it actually is quite good at cutting. Let's see. You can cut just about anything in this type of fashion. So for that, in that respect, it's actually like a beautiful length of knife. I would actually suggest this 5.5 inch knife for home cooks, or this one. So err on the smaller side. If you're cooking for maybe a 6-person family, then you could get an 8-inch knife. You can also, a lot of cutting I do is like this. So with this knife is a little bit, if I were to be cooking all day long, I'd want something sturdy like this. But to cook like this is a little bit more convenient because your thumb is not spread so far. So this is the knife selection. Perhaps if you're just starting out, I would get the Korin knife of a smaller size. And these are just very economical and definitely worthwhile. The other thing about the Korin knife is that it does have a bevel edge on it. So this side, because I'm right-handed, this side of the knife actually has a different angle than this side of the knife. This angle is less than this angle here. So basically the edge has a different cutting angle on it. And so when you're cutting, the knife has a tendency to divert from a straight line through the food, but I never really noticed that at all. That means that when you're sharpening it, you do have to feel the angle. So when you put it on the stone, you'll see where the angle is by moving it like that, and then you'll pull it through the stone like that. And there's lots of knife sharpening experts on YouTube. You can have a look how it's done. The other point is, if you do go for an Opinel knife, definitely get one of these diamond sharpeners, and you can find these in camping stores. They are the DMT, Diamond Machining Technology Incorporated, DMT sharpener. This is perfect for these small knives. You don't actually need the stone for this one. You can see it's actually, I've used this for many years. It's probably lasts more than a decade. And if you want one of these higher end knives, use the sharpening stone. And you can buy that on Korin knives. Just buy that on Korin website. So $50 for that, $95 for this knife, and this knife costs $250. Actually retails at about $300, but you can get this for $250. You're talking about a completely different type of knife in terms of the quality. The spine here is rounded, so it's got an incredible attention to detail. It's a very thin knife relative to this one here, but basically the handiwork that goes into it is the price that you pay for the additional $150. It's the time that it takes a human being to make this a beautiful knife, as opposed to this one. Both of these are just exceptional. You really will never need another knife at all. Some people will have large collections. So this is a 5.5 inches. 5.5 inches. This is a 8-inch knife, and this is just a 3.5 inch, 3.25 inch knife. So there you have it. That's all you need to know about knives.